Have you ever wondered how to keep your FEHB when you don't qualify for it in retirement? Then stay tuned for this FERS Federal Fact Check. Hi, I'm Micah with Plan Your Federal Retirement. I've said it so many times on this channel, your best benefit is your FEHB, your federal employee health benefits. It's fantastic, but there's a couple of catches in how you get that benefit. And what happens if you don't meet those requirements, but you still want your FEHB? What are some things you can do? And a question from Kim talks about just that. She says, I have 15 years of federal service and I'm 55 years young. I've only been in FEHB for the most recent 3 years of federal employment. I wish to leave service soon. I want to retire with FEHB. Could I do that by re-entering federal service on a later date for a further 2 years? In other words, lock in federal benefits by becoming a postal worker at 63 to 65, for example. Kim, that is an excellent question. So let's talk about what your retirement is. What you would be separating out on would be a deferred retirement, right? You're not eligible for an immediate pension. You're not eligible for a full retirement. You're not eligible for a postponed retirement. This would be called a deferred retirement. You're vested in the system with your 15 years of federal service, but you haven't met the other requirements, MRA in 30, 60 and 20, 62 and 5, or MRA in 10, right? So you're vested, but the only thing you're going to get is a pension at 62 years young. So I love your thought. And we have done this actually for several clients. They've separated from federal service. They came back after their MRA, their minimum retirement age. They then worked for a couple of years in order to get those benefits back. So the short answer is yes, you absolutely can, but there might be a catch. You can under today's rules. This is the risk that you're playing, right? If you worked another 2 years and you retired, you hit your MRA, you'd have MRA in 10 at that point in time. You could keep health insurance for retirement. You know the rules you're retiring under. The risk that you have is that Congress, because they can do anything with the stroke of a pen, you risk that Congress changes those rules in the future. Do I think they're going to change this loophole? Probably not. It doesn't appear to be one of the ones on the chopping block that they keep talking about, but they absolutely could. So that's something, if you do decide to go down this lane, Kim, I would absolutely be keeping your ear to the ground. If they start talking about changing federal benefits, do you need to come back in? Let's talk about you reentering as a postal worker. Well, it depends. It doesn't matter what agency you work for, but it does matter that you're on that full-time, full employment status, I should say, eligible in getting benefits. So if you come in as temporary, you come in as seasonal, that time probably isn't going to count in that FEHB clock. So really important to look at that when you're coming back in. If you have questions like this about your benefits, then make sure you jump on our website, leave us a comment, leave us your question, and you might be featured in the next FERS Federal Fact Check. Till then, happy planning.